everybody. I hope you're doing well today. I had a question this week from a student that really I want to address on here because it's a good question and I'm sure a lot of people think that. Well, the question was, when I try to play along with your video, my dulcimer doesn't sound the same as yours. It sounds like it's not in the same tuning or it doesn't sound right. And I have it tuned to DAD. Okay. Now, let me tell you there are a couple of reasons for this that you might encounter this. So every dulcimer has what is called a VSL, a vibrating string length, okay? So that's the distance from your nut. This is where your strings come off of your head, either flat or scroll, whatever you have, onto the fretboard, okay? That takes place by that little piece right there called the nut, okay? So that's the start of your VSL. The ending of your VSL is your bridge back here, okay? That's what takes it off of your dulcimer and onto your back where you put your strings on, okay? So our vibrating string length is the distance from there all the way to the bridge, okay? Now, dulcimers have different vibrating string lengths. I have a McSpadden standard, so the VSL is 28.5, all right? My other McSpadden standard from 1995, 28.5. Now, they range from anywhere about 25 on up. And anything that's about 23.5-ish, that size, those are called ginger models, all right? So they are so much smaller than this that it really changes our pitch. You can still be tuned into DAD, but it'll not sound like a vibrating string length that's this long. It'll sound different, okay? So I asked this person to check their VSL and realize that a lot of dulcimers are different. You know, they're not all the same. So you might have a different length there. Other things that could cause you to hear that are where you're fretting your instrument. Okay, we want to fret our instrument as much as we can closest to the fret. Now, me with this big long VSL here and my not so big hands, sometimes that stretch is really hard to get close to the edge of the fret. See, we want to get close to the fret without touching it to get the best sound. The farther this way we come away from the fret, the dirtier the sound is, okay? So you could be, if you're hearing notes that sound maybe out of tune, that could be happening. You're pulling your finger back way far away from the fret. Another thing is when you press down the fret, if you bend the string at all, see how I'm bending the string? Sometimes you can, just by force, bend it down, and that'll change the sound of it as well. Also, old strings can do this. So there may be a number of reasons why it would sound a little different. Also, you know, maybe you're not perfectly in tune. Maybe I'm not perfectly in tune. You know, we're all dealing with, when you have wooden strings, you're dealing with humidity and weather, okay? And sometimes if your tuners are not the best, and even my cardboard dulcimer has cheap tuners on it, those puppies stay in tune like you would not believe. I cannot believe how well they stay in tune. But, so I'm not talking about a monetary value there. I'm just saying your tuners, they may not stay in tune well. They may need to be tightened or adjusted, or you may, you may want to just get new tuners if they continue to slip. If you've recently changed your strings out, your strings might not be stretched yet. So, they may, you may see them going down a half step or something like that when you first put them on until they get stretched out. And you can stretch your strings, if you want, by yourself, just by, fretting and pulling them a little bit as you tune and you do your minute. I'm sorry, my nose is running. Been outside getting firewood, moved over to our small bin that we keep close to the house so we can run up there and just keep more firewood. But anyway, Yeah, I thought I would address that because, you know, other people I'm sure have that same question. So the VSL is very important, especially if you haven't bought a dulcimer yet, or if playing your dulcimer seems really hard to you and making that stretch is very hard. You may want to consider getting a dulcimer with a smaller VSL. And you know, that just brings all these frets closer together, makes these stretches not so far. See, this is a pretty long stretch here. And that brings me to another thing, okay? Everybody, you know, you go out, if you're like me and you live in a place where I'm kind of in the middle of nowhere, which I love dearly, but there's not a lot of places I can go to try out multiple dulcimers. If I'm lucky enough to find a music shop or something like that that'll have a dulcimer, they're only going to have one. So if you're like me and you don't really have a chance to go out and try these things, as a rule of thumb, just know that the standard size, the 28.5, is kind of big. I have a good stretch. You know, when I was in high school, I could palm a basketball. So while I do not have long fingers, I have a really good stretch. That's another life. I was also, little tidbit, I was the first ever three-pointer scored in a game at my junior high school. It was the 9th grade, and they had just begun allowing the three-point line in high school and junior high. Okay, so that season was the first season they allowed it. I was the first person in my entire district to score a three-pointer in a game. Yay. Anyway, that has gotten me so many accolades in my life, I can't tell you. Just kidding. But anyway, I like telling that story. It's kind of funny. I'm a little shorty, so those outside shots were mine. But anyway, so I have a really kind of a good stretch here, and it's still kind of difficult for me. And anyway, this year I'm going to actually purchase one with a smaller VSL, probably a 26 or so, something like that. I'm also considering getting that 1.5 fret. But so if you have, it's just going to be more comfortable for you if you were to get, say, a 26, than try to stretch this 28.5. Now, that little cardboard dulcimer I haven't measured it. I need to put it down below. It's a small dulcimer, but let me tell you, that is very pleasant to play. Now, I can also see where someone with larger hands would not want a small VSL, because if you have large hands, your hands are all bunched up. It's like you get all bunched up. So there's a sweet spot in there. So I would recommend that if you can, obviously go touch one, you know, more than one, to kind of know what you're going to need. But I think a lot of people don't realize that. I sure didn't when I first started playing. I didn't realize that. And these dulcimers, you know, that I've bought both of these within the last year and a half. I've bought them used, but I'm going to get a new one this year, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to get about a 26. I think I'll be able to be faster on a 26, and I'm going to have some additional frets added, so it'll just definitely be a variation on what else I have. So let me see, what else is there to what else should I talk about here with you guys? Don't be afraid to change your own strings. I know some people just are afraid to do it. It's really not that hard. I even have a video on it. I'll put that up there. But don't be afraid of it. You can do it. Really, anyone can do it. I think that's going to do it this time. If I get some more questions that really make me want to talk about it, I'll bring you that as well. Okay, that's going to do it for this one. And before I go, I always want to remind you that Jesus loves you. Bye-bye.